Hello, and welcome back to another day in the arena. It's me, it's CGB. Welcome to episode 2 of CovertGoLore. This is Awaken the Trolls, the official Magic story as interpreted by my lovely wife, Gina, who is here with me today for this fabulous story. Are you excited?
I'm very excited.
You want to quickly let them know where we left off. Guys, if you want, go watch episode 1 first if you want to do things in order, or if you just want to dive in and let this nonsense begin, how about a quick synopsis of where we're at?
All right, the quick summary of episode 1 was basically like, Vikings, yay, old guy with a bird, we went on a monster hunt, we found a monster, it was a monster that like absorbed dead bodies into itself and has all these appendages and it's super nasty gross.
It was Vorinclex.
Yeah, and Kaya was like, I'ma fight this monster, and she cut off one of its legs and it was injured and she was gonna go back for more, but then old man with bird turned out to be
Allrand.
And he's Odin. And he's super powerful, and he puts up like a little force field, and she's like, I was gonna fight that monster, and he's like, well, not right now. And the monster gets away, and she's mad the monster got away, and he said, hey, I'll give you a magic boat, and she says, cool, and we continue from there.
The boat is Kazima, though.
Yeah, well, that's gonna be obvious in the beginning of this story. That's where we start.
Let's do the story!
Yay! Episode 2, Awaken the Trolls, by Roy and Jenna. Okay, so our story begins with Kaya on the boat, Kasima. So Kaya's hanging out on the boat and she's like, I'm on a boat. I'm on a boat. Everybody look at me. I'm sailing on a boat. And she realizes there's no oars, there's no rudder, and the boat's just going by itself. And so now she understands, oh, so that's what Alrun meant when he said that the ship would carry me wherever I need to go. I also don't have a choice where I'm going. Well, might as well chillax. So while she's chillaxing, she's thinking about the realms of Kaldheim and explaining to the audience that, well, these realms aren't really closely linked. The gulf is pretty big. I'm usually really good at planeswalking, but it doesn't work here. I can't really jump between the realms here. So crossing the cosmos is not easy in this area.
Wow, that's bizarre. So she's a planeswalker, and Kaldheim is a plane, but within the plane, she can't travel wherever she wants on the plane.
Yes.
She has to get between the realms through the cosmos. That is very strange in Magic lore, I think.
Yeah, I did want to ask you about that, if that made a lot of sense, because she's like, yeah, I'm naturally good at planeswalking, but not good here.
Yeah, I'm used to like the different parts of Dominaria, like Shiv and Tolarian, but they're all like just like different countries in a world, different continents on a world. I'm not used to a plane having different cosmos realm.
Yeah, they're just calling it realms. And I don't know why that's different from other places that you normally explore. So Inga, before leaving, had told her that basically, you know, there are exceptions to this this like lack of ability for you to travel here, because now and then mortal ingenuity or random chance, basically smart people or luck, can make a link between the realms. And that's called omen paths, when there is a thing that opens up and you can go through it.
Wormholes.
Yeah, essentially. But it was the Doomskars people feared. They're really afraid of celestial collisions that would lead to calamity, and it'd be real bad.
Boom, Doomskar.
And they're like, back in the day, when Bredegard collided with Karfell, a frozen land of wraiths and walking corpses, a legion of the undead just kind of made its way to the Beskir stronghold before it was defeated, and never in recorded history had Doomskar bridged their realm with Immersturm, the realm of demons.
Doomskar.
But the consequences were hard to imagine, because the last time a single demon made it to Bredegard, he went on a rampage, so bad that they named the bleakest, darkest part of the year after it.
Ooh.
It was epic and historical. Kaya figures, you know, maybe I'll just avoid things like Doomskars. They sound bad. And she's like, I gotta stay focused. I've got a super dangerous monster to find. I'm busy. So she fell asleep in the boat, and when she wakes up, the boat like bumped into the shore, and she looks around, and there's a thick mist, and there's a muddy bank. And Kaya like just kind of looks around at no one and says, so this is my stop, I guess. Cool. Guess I'll get out here. And then just sinks into a whole bunch of mud. And then she starts thinking about, like, do I tie the boat up? Like, what do I do with Magic Boat? And Magic Boat just leaves. It just slowly lurches back into the waves as if she had pushed it. And then disappears into the mist, super spooky like. And she's like, thanks for the ride, boat.
Bye, Cosma. Bye, Omakil.
So yeah, the boat goddess did not speak to her at all.
Don't you hate it when your Uber driver gives you no closure?
Like, just no conversation at all. She's like, I guess I'll rate you later.
1
like,
star. Not good at talking.
I could have used a bottle of water.
Didn't even know where they left me.
But she's wondering, like, what am I gonna do if the monster just goes realm hopping again? I'll just be stuck here, but decides, well, I guess I'll worry about it later. It hasn't happened yet. And so she climbs up out of the mud and goes into another forest. And, you know, she's been in old places before, and she felt like this place was super duper duper old. The trees are old. The moss is old. There's a lot of descriptions of things she sees while she's walking for an hour. And the forest goes on forever. And she's like looking for those silvery veins of metal, but doesn't see anything. So she can't see any evidence that the monster's even gone this way. And so she stops to rest, just like, what am I doing in this giant forest? And then she hears some voices. And she gets back on her feet and just wonders, like, okay, they're probably not going to be as welcoming as, you know, my Viking friends, but maybe I can at least ask for directions. And so she sees there's a clearing up ahead, and there's some strange loud creatures in it. And they're like as tall as her, but they're green and a little ugly, and they have long dark hair. So they are trolls. Trolls.
Like in Lord of the Rings? Like in The Hobbit?
They're not cute, that's for sure.
Okay.
So she hadn't seen any in Kaldheim yet, but definitely these are trolls. And also, they sound like cranky trolls. And distracted cranky trolls. And they're like talking to each other and smacking each other. And she's like, I think I'm just gonna back away very carefully and not encounter the trolls. But then a figure steps into the area, and he's wearing a hood. He's got jinglies on it, and he's got a big old sword. And they're very curious to see what this dude has to say. And he says, friends, you know me by my many names. I am called Trickster by some. Some of you call me Prince of Mischief.
Okay, he's talking to the trolls, but they don't know about Kaya, right?
They don't know Kaya's there. She is hiding.
She's sneak mode. Okay.
She is observing. She is being a sneaky sneak right now.
So this dude with literal bells on his freaking hoodie is talking to trolls.
Yeah, he's got jingles on. He's talking to the trolls. He's telling them all his names. I'm God of Lies, but all know me as Valky. And
nothing like Loki.
Yeah, totally different. Not the same at all. And like, I'm gonna tell you some really important stuff. You're gonna love it. You'll be glad to hear it. And Kaya's confused. She's like, a god here? But at least this one's not pretending to be an old dude with a bird. But there's something kind of weird about this guy, and I'm not sure what it is yet. And he just keeps talking. He's really revving up for his speech now. And he says, a time of great strife approaches. Soon a path will open to cruel and strange worlds, filled with creatures of great avarice and wickedness. And these savage people are going to burn the forest to the ground. They're going to kill everybody. All your friends are going to die. And they want to, like, take your treasure. And then the crowd gets really mad once they find out, oh, also take our treasure? Ooh. And Valky, you know, he's good in front of a crowd, so he's like, yep, okay, now I'm going to talk again. And he says, but I've got a great idea what you can do about it. You have to attack first. You've been divided by petty rivalries. Like, join together, strike as one. You'll be unstoppable. You're going to love it. It's going to be great. And then Kaya realized he's kind of sparkly. Like, he's shimmering. That's weird. And it's different from what she saw from Alrund. So she's really sus of this guy. And she's like, you know what? I think I'm gonna send a poof of air on him. And so she...
What?
Yeah.
What? A poof of air?
Yeah, she's got an air poof. Is this not something you know about? She's just like, this doesn't seem right. Why would the God of Eyes need to make an illusion? And I feel like this is an illusion. So
Guys, hear me out. This person seems a little off, a little weird. I'm just gonna
blow him. It's gonna be fine. So she whips up a little spell and then just goes whoop and blows towards him. Mind you, he's across a clearing. So the air is swirling, the troll's hair is blowing around, and then it sweeps over Valky and it strips Valky right off of him. In place of the God of Lies, there's a super obvious devil man. He's got red skin, he's got horns, he has a look of incredulity. He's like, oh, who dares to like blow off my Valky disguise? It was super great and super working. That's rude. Please step out into the clearing. And Kaya thinks to herself, well, that's a bad idea, but all my ideas are bad. And she steps out into the clearing and she's like, haha, probably thought you could get away with a sloppy illusion, right? Dumb trolls won't know the difference. Bad luck for you, Tibalt.
Tibalt! The rakish instigator, the imposter. Tibalt is a planeswalker. He was last seen on Ravnica as part of the War of the Spark, and he is known for being a trickster, a prankster, and a general agent of chaos. He is a devil, and he's a planeswalker as well.
Well, he looks like he has a similar taste and style, though, because he's still got, like, gold shiny discs and stuff hanging from him, too. So it wasn't too far of a stretch. Tibalt's like, so you've heard of me? Like, have we met? Like, and she's like, nope, I just know about your reputation. It preceded you. Like, heard all about your stories, and none of them were good. And he's like, oh, you're too kind. And who are you? And she's like, I'm Kaya. And he's like, oh yeah, a sneak and a thief, a killer. And she's like, oh yeah, you suck. What are you doing here? And Tibalt's like, I could ask you the same thing. You know, we planeswalkers are meddlers by nature, but I just happened to be in the middle of something and you rudely interrupted. So yeah, hey everybody, kill her. So all the trolls are like, okay. So the dumbest ones like run straight at her and she's like, nah. And she's like, vroom, vroom, vroom. She's phasing. She's using weapons. They're looking dumb. She ends up like, one of them tries to get her and she like makes him phase into a tree and then she unphases him and then he's just like, I'm stuck in a tree. Oh no. When he doesn't say that because he doesn't talk. But then after
that would be a great magic card. Stuck in a tree.
After one of the trolls becomes the tree, the other ones are kind of like, I don't think I want to fight anymore. And Kaya's like, yeah, don't. Like, you know, you don't want to mess with me. And then the trolls dropped their weapons and ran. And then Tibalt turned and ran into the woods. And she's like, oh, Jerk's really going to make me chase him. Who does this guy think he is? And so she follows him. And even though he got a head start, he's not like as fast or as agile as her. And so she cuts him off. And then he yells at her, you run like the devil. And then he laughs because he made a real good joke. And Kaya says, okay, tell me what you're doing here. Why are you riling up the trolls? Like, what's in it for you? And Tibalt says, chaos is its own reward. And nothing makes me happier than causing mayhem. It's super fun. It's none of your business. This isn't your home. These aren't your people. And then she's like, oh, actually, I do have business here. Like, I'm looking for a monster. Have you seen a big monster? Do you have anything to do with this big monster? And he says, a monster? Ooh, how scary. I should probably find a place to hide. I'm just gonna leave now. And she says, nope. you're not going to leave, and you don't have no trolls. And they weren't good anyway. They were terrible at fighting. And Tibalt says, well, I guess I don't, but the trolls have cousins called the Torga, and they're better. And so he whistles, and she's like, okay, that was a neat whistle you did, but nothing has happened, so how about we keep arguing? And then there's a rumbling, and the hill closest to Tibalt got a foot taller. And Tibalt's really, really happy because he says, ha-ha, fooled ya. And then they come out of the earth. They're made of earth, and there's dirt flying everywhere, and they're 20 feet tall and super scary. And do you have a card of this?
Yep, we've got 2 cards to look at for this.
They look like hills that become troll cousins.
Wow, that become troll.
Yeah.
All right, so the first card that I want to point out
That one
is Not Void Slumber Mound. This is a land until you pay 6 mana and sacrifice it to destroy another target land, and one of the opponents, of course, and create a 4/4 troll warrior creature token with trample.
So it sleeps and then it wakes up and goes to war.
Oh yeah, but probably the more flavorful one is Waking the Trolls.
Oh, epic. So, they wake up now and they've got fangs, and Tibalt explains, oh, they really hate to wake up. They like sleeping and being hills, and once they're awake, they're gonna rip apart anyone and anything nearby. And Kaya says, are you crazy? They're gonna kill us both. And then Tibalt is like, haha. And next
I really want to do like the old sitcom thing where he's just like, that's Tibalt!
yeah.
Crowd laughs, crowd cheers. Like when Urkel enters the room in Family Matters, or goes, did I do that?
Well, next to Tibalt is a hole in the world. It's just in the air, hanging out. It's ragged, uneven, and it's like glowing, and it looks like heat and sulfurous air are pouring out. So I think he's jumping straight into hell. And he grins at her and he's like, oh, I'd wish you luck, but that would make me a liar, right? Haha. Ba-dum boom, ba-dum boom, boom. And he jumps in the portal and it vanishes, and she's just stuck to fight these now. So she gets out her daggers. And first she tries to have a conversation. And she says, hey guys, hey hills. The dude who sicked you on me, like, he left. I didn't mean to wake you up. Could we just talk? And they're like,
public service announcement: do not try to engage the trolls on Twitter, on Reddit, on anything in mythical lore. Just don't try. Don't talk
like,
to the
what
trolls.
What if I could just explain?
No, don't explain your position. They'll just use it against you, and nothing will just no.
Yep. So they come out on her heart and they're just like, meh. And she's like, okay, I tried. So then she starts trying to do stabbing. Stabby, stabby, stab. But it feels like she's trying to stab a rock. And her dagger that she's had since Tovada breaks in two. And then she's like, oh no. And then while she was sitting there thinking, oh no, the troll like smacked her and knocked her across the clearing. And her head is ringing. And she's like, okay, I really liked that dagger. And so she's still fighting. She's slashing at the leg of one, and it just leaves like the thinnest scratch ever. And she's like, come on, and she's dodging, hits all over the place. Another one tries to grab her, and she's like, okay, I gotta fight dirty now. So she wraps her blade with ethereal energy and just jabs it into the vertebrae, and then like kind of phased it in and then phased herself out. And it was tricky, and the dagger got stuck in its spine, and the troll hit the ground. And she's like, all right, who's next? I have no weapons, but this is fine. Everything's fine. I've got this. And then she gets smacked in the side. She's rolling along the ground, and the one she had just knocked down had been the one to do it. And she realizes, oh no, they heal too. Why does everything on this plane heal? It makes fighting so hard. and the trolls are roaring and banging their fists on the ground. They're in a circle, 1 against 6, and she's like, this is fine. Everything about this is fine. I've seen worse. Everything's fine. I had like weapons in those other fights, but okay, one of my daggers is broken. The other one's stuck in a troll. And she's like, all right, here we go. And she hears a voice saying, need a hand? And then this swarmy looking smug dude shows up. And
is that what you notice? What do you notice most about this particular dude?
His smugness.
That's all? Nothing else? Nothing stands out?
He has abs that he's covering up with a wrestling belt. And veiny arms.
How many abs do you think he has?
20.
This is Tyvar Kell, I believe is the name.
Yes.
Let's get the... Yep, we'll get the card pulled up for you. And
Go ahead.
we call... Arjuna and I on the podcast just call him Abs.
Yeah, this is Abs. He's covering him up, though, which is an unusual choice.
He is the abbiest ab of all of the abs. And there he is.
Yep.
So he, spoiler alert, this probably won't get, or maybe it will get revealed this story. I haven't read this story yet. He is a planeswalker, actually. He has an ignited spark, and he can travel between planes, in theory. And he makes your elves tap for black mana, so he corrupts elves a little and lets them do kind of bad stuff too. And he also is just really down with the elf tribe. But he's a brand new planeswalker character that we don't really know anything about. He hasn't been in other sets that I know of.
Well, we're going to learn he doesn't know everything about that yet either. So you did spoil it.
I spoiled Tyvar himself. I spoiled Abs. Abs doesn't even know. He doesn't even know the power of his own abs.
So Kaya notices, okay, he's an elf, and he's got more muscles than I've ever seen, and he's really proud of his muscles. And even though it's cold, he is not wearing a shirt. Like, it does not matter. He's got all the muscles. He's got jewelry, and he's kind of chill. He's, like, relaxed. And she's like, so how long you been standing there? And he's like, oh, long enough to see you're not doing so great. I mean, they're hard to fight, but, you know, it's lucky for you I happen to be passing by. And she's ticked. And she's like, listen, kid, get out of here before you get hurt. I can handle myself. And he's like, I'm not sure about that. You lost your daggers. I still have my secret weapon. And she's like, your looks? And he's like, no, this. And he tosses up a little stone. And she's like, you're gonna throw a rock at him. And he's like, He smiles and just kind of strolls over to the trolls, like, super chill, not a care in the world. And she's like, hey, watch out, like, dumb kid. Like, she's trying to figure out, can I phase him out of there? He's just walking right into the middle of that. And the trolls are super ready to just tear him up. But he just, every time one of them runs at him, he just kind of goes, He just kind of ducks out of the way. He's fast. And every single time, like, they're like, let's get him. And he's gone. And he backflip away. It was like trying to catch smoke or bottled lightning. And then Kaya noticed, like, sometimes he's just sticking around longer than he needed to, just so they miss by inches instead of miles, because he's a show-off. Cool. Great. We're gonna get along awesome. But then she noticed something goofy was happening, because the hand that held the rock, suddenly the skin of his arm is starting to grow polished and hard, just the same gray as the stone. And then he touched the creature with his new stone hand and starts to turn the troll to stone, just like in Lord of the Rings. It's pretty epic.
Wow.
Yep.
Big move.
So then he's bobbing and weaving, dodging blows, and just turns all of them to stone one at a time. The whole thing takes less than a minute because he's awesome. And Kaya hated to admit she's kind of impressed, and she's like, okay, not bad, kid. And he's like, would you stop calling me kid? And he's like, what should I call you then? Tyvar Kell, I am Prince of the Elves of Skemfar, greatest hero in all the realms, and your personal savior. She's like, okay,
What can I
Tyvar.
say except you're welcome.
Yep. She's like, okay, I'm Kaya, appreciate the help, but what's a great hero like you doing in the middle of the woods? Were you following me? And she's like, no, not you. I was following Valky. Like, he's not Valky. He's Tibalt. And he's like, yeah, I noticed because you blew air at him. I was a little sus on him. Like, he tells a lot of lies and stuff. And yeah. But now she noticed he looks a little bit worried because I guess he had a whole backstory where Tibalt was messing with his people. And they talk a little bit about the Doomscar. Kaya's like, yeah, there's a Doomscar coming. Alrun says so. You know, he's Odin, so he knows everything. And Tyvar says, a Doomscar?
A Doomscar!
Alrun told you this? And he's like, yeah, nice guy, lent me a boat. And he's like, oh, and Tibalt, is he your enemy? He's like, well, he's not my friend. I don't know what he's up to, but he's always up to trouble. And he says, let's pursue him together then. Clearly, you need my help. Smiling at her in a way that hadn't yet failed to piss her off. And she's like, with an attitude like that, this kid's gonna get himself killed. And she's like, look, I've got other things to do. I can't go running after every bad guy with horns. And I don't know how we'd follow him anyway because he jumped into a wormhole portal. And Tyvar said, well, did you see anything about it? And she's like, it was only open for a second, but it looked really fiery. The ground was charred black. And Tyvar says, Immersturm. The realm of demons. And Kara says, yeah, well, if you happen to have like a magic boat hanging around, maybe we could. And Tyvar already has his eyes closed. Extends both hands in front of him. And she takes a step back because she doesn't know what he's going to do. And she realizes she's seen magic like this before. And it looked almost effortless when Alrun had done it to open a doorway into another realm. But basically he does the same thing. And she feels like her ears popped and all the air went out of the clearing. And when he opened his eyes, there's a doorway. And she's like, how'd you learn to do that? And he says, oh, well, the sorcerers of Skemfar are experts in their craft. And you can count me an expert among experts. I'm super good at this. And I've been through all the realms of Kaldheim. My natural gifts express themselves differently in each one. I'm kind of a catch. And she noticed that he has all these charms around his neck, like bones, gems, twisted bits of metal, and a little dark stone that's an octahedron shape. And on the sides is etched a design she's seen before, but she's never seen it here. And he notices and he's like, oh yeah, check out my jewelry. I found this. I found this in a realm like that people don't even talk about. It was called, and she says, Zendikar.
Oh, a hedron.
She says, you're a planeswalker. And then his grin kind of goes uncertain and he says, what's a planeswalker? The end.
Boom.
So this dude's got planeswalker skills, but has never heard of that term before, and it seems like it's really good here in Kaldheim, while her planeswalker skills are good other places.
Weird, isn't it? That
Yeah.
he's a planeswalker who can move around Kaldheim however he wants, but Kaya, at least at this point, maybe doesn't know how, can't,
But
something like that.
the devil guy could do it too. Well, he at least jumped
Yeah.
into a wormhole.
Tibalt did it.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe it's just a skill Kaya hasn't learned yet. I want to see if the hedron is on this necklace. I never saw a necklace.
He's not wearing it in the
Not
picture.
wearing one. Okay, I guess they didn't want to spoil that, but it's spoiled. He's a planeswalker card. That's kind of bizarre, but okay, sure. It's a little strange that they did that. Apparently he's been to Zendikar, but he doesn't know what a planeswalker is, so he's never met another one. They call him Kid. How old would you say this character is?
I would say 29 at least.
Okay, I mean maybe in elf years that's Kid, but Kaya, she grown woman, she ain't got no time.
I don't know, she described it as like he had kind of a face that made him seem young and an attitude that made him seem young. So she's calling him Kid basically because she thinks he's smug and acting like he can take on the world and she doesn't think he can.
Perfectly written proud woman, by the way. You know, did need help, but is not happy about it, and sure as hell isn't impressed that you helped.
Strong woman.
Strong woman.
Strong woman.
Yep. Strong
Yeah.
woman.
She didn't exactly say thank you either, did she?
Not exactly.
But yeah, but he's very happy to say you're welcome and be like, check out my jewelry. I pick up jewelry in random places and then I wear it. Isn't it cool?
He went to the WWE universe and he stole their championship title.
He's clearly got a big championship title around his waist.
So what do you think of episode 2, Awaken the Trolls?
I loved episode 1 because of how epic the monster was in particular. I liked the introduction to Kara's phasing powers. And here, it seemed like we'd already shown what she's good at, and she didn't get to do what she's good at because she faced these trolls that were basically not a good match for her. And so it was a good thing that this dude showed up, this elf. Because I don't know how she was actually going to get out of that other than, like, run away eventually. I liked the introduction of this elf. I think he is a fun character. And I'm very curious to see where this goes. Because right now, this is striking me as they didn't like each other at first. But...
Classic romantic comedy.
Yeah, this has rom-com written all over it right now.
I guess we'll see about that. They definitely give the impression that she's significantly older. Age difference, you know? I don't know. How many gals call the romantic interest kid upon meeting that person?
I don't know. He seems kind of flirty to me.
Does seem really flirty. He also may have never met a woman.
He's just like, by the way, have you noticed my abs?
Just been working out across the plains for this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just been waiting to turn myself to stone.
He's just been following the trolls, waiting for them to fight a woman so he can rescue her.
Strong woman.
So, how about our little Loki-ish variant, Tibalt, aka, what's the other name? Valky? Valky?
Yeah, Valky Tibalt.
Are you curious to see what Valky/Tibalt is up to?
Well, like you mentioned before, he's definitely a Loki type, and it just seems like he's there to mess about. I don't know what his ultimate plan is, and right now I'm not even convinced he's a huge character because he just seems like he just is having some fun. I don't know if he has a big grand scheme or not, but he's just like, hey, you guys fight you guys. It'll be cool.
So, in the teaser trailer for the set that you can watch on the YouTubes and such, he is actually a character in it who is talking about getting a hold of this weapon, this sword, like a sword of the cosmos, or a god sword, something like that, and using it to create chaos. So that's in the teaser. So we'll see what happens.
I don't feel like this story had anything to do with the sword. Like, she noticed he had a sword, but it didn't look special, so I just kind of breezed over that part because I'm like, well, he's not using it. He took it out and then jumped in a hole. But yeah, let me see if I can find the description of the sword real fast before he jumped in the hole. Let's see. He had drawn his sword. It was a marvel, forged from some kind of glass. It had a shifting spectrum of color she'd only seen once before, and that was spilling off of Alrund.
Yes.
It was such a brief mention, I skipped over it, because then he jumped in a hole. But clearly they wanted us to notice the sword, because he didn't use it. He just drew it just so she could look at it and describe what it looked like.
So I'm going to show you the sword.
Okay.
And it is actually a split card as well. On this side, it is Halvar, god of battle. So the god is like contained in the sword.
Oh,
But
sword god.
That is the sword of the realm.
That is a pretty sword.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
I think that she should have described the entire freaking Aurora Borealis discotheque being contained in this sword.
She's just like, yeah, it's kind of colorful. It reminds me of something I saw from Odin. That's it.
Yeah, I think it's a bit more than that. So we're curious what the sword can do. We're curious what is Tibalt going to do with it. It sounds like Tibalt has gone off to the red-black realm which are in his colors, and is usually Rakdos is a very devilish color combinations.
Well, the card says the sword cuts through the cosmos itself, carving new paths.
Oh.
So maybe why he drew the sword was to cut the slit to go to the red-black world.
So
it just makes a window.
So
or a
Tibalt
door.
cannot. Maybe Tibalt also cannot planeswalk between the realms, like we talked about. Tibalt is using the sword to do it.
I think so. I think that's what's actually going on.
So whatever Tyvar is doing to walk between the realms is still a power that is very much unique among planeswalkers.
Yeah, it looks like he meditates and a door shows up.
Classic. He must be vegan.
Clearly he's vegan. That's where the smugness comes from.
Anything else before we wrap this one up?
No, I'm really curious to see what happens next. I think the next story focuses on a completely different character, so I won't know what happens to Kara till the next one comes out.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you for watching this video. As always, we will see you in the next video. You're cool.
Bye.
You're cool.